Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Universal Talk. On today's show, we ponder the pyramid as a symbol for human evolution and perfection. Let's present the case. First, consider that these ancient structures would be very difficult, if not impossible, to build with today's technology. Then how and or who built these structures and why? What if these ancient structures were built via alien technology? What if they were built in a way that harnessed the energies from the Earth and the universe? Could such a structure have healing abilities? In a moment, we'll have Stephane Wuttunee on the show. He is a Plains Cree and French-Canadian author and webmaster. Stephane experienced a spiritual awakening in 1991 at age 22. This led him to undertake a journey that involved over 4,500 miles of wilderness canoeing, as well as living out of a backpack and traveling for 10 years. According to Wuttunee, the pyramid represents humans as immortal, divine, omniscient, and androgynous beings. Stephane Wuttunee, welcome onto the show.
Hello, Joe. How are you?
I'm great. Could you tell the listeners if I mispronounced your name? I'm sorry. I'm having difficulty here.
Well, you did a fantastic first effort, let me tell you. It's actually Stephane Wuttunee.
Okay, thank you. I'll say that about 15 times fast, okay? So why were these pyramids built?
Well, I think whoever was behind these, generally speaking, Joe, when we're talking about the builder and the designer, they tend to be different people. But I think the designer of the Great Pyramid meant the structure so that it would fulfill a multi-purpose function. But I think one of those functions primarily was to represent us, so that it would give us a sort of architectural blueprint for us to become. In other words, the Great Pyramid is us.
Oh. This is the first time I've actually heard a separation from engineer and builder, and also that it symbolizes humanity as a whole. Is that what you're saying?
That's right. Well, first of all, the pyramid, we have to realize that the pyramid is a symbol used in logos of hundreds of corporations and companies throughout the world.
Right.
If you do, there's, and even on the back of the American dollar bill, in terms of the Great Seal of the United States, the pyramid is right there. So besides the structure, it's actually more so a symbol, and a symbol can be any size that it wants. So it means something. And the angle that I take on dreamingthepyramid.net is that through 8 means, 8 symbols, the Great Pyramid symbolizes us in our journey towards perfection, to re-become the gods that we once were. And it does that through astrology, numerology, geology, biology, and some physics involved.
Okay, so let's get back to what you said initially with the engineers and the builders. Do you feel that they were built by alien technology, and if so, which alien group?
Well, we have to, if we look at ancient texts, for instance, the Bible, for instance, it says that mankind was created in the image of the gods. So that would imply that our creators or our co-creators resembled us or resemble us. So therefore, we would be made in their image, and therefore we would look a lot like them. And you also consider the absolute fact that Egypt is not the only place in the world where there are pyramids.
Right.
There's pyramids throughout Central and South America, throughout Egypt. Even just Egypt alone, there's over 119 pyramids that are officially cataloged by the Egyptian government. The Great Pyramid generally being thought of as being one of the oldest, if not the very oldest, considering, depending on who you talk to. Throughout Northern Africa and Central Africa, there's several pyramids. There's one that was just been discovered about 4 or 5 years ago in Bosnia. 3 that I know of in China that are smaller but still pyramid-shaped. Several that have been discovered in over 250 meters of water by a Japanese professor. I forget his name, but off the coast of Japan. And let's also consider the case that Richard Hoagland from Starship Enterprise puts out, that he says that there could be pyramids on the backside of the moon. Right. And then on top of that, Joe, consider that Tom Van Flandern from JPL and Brian O'Leary from NASA both put out a news conference in the beginning, I think it was in 2001 or 2002, where they put forth evidence showing that there's pyramid-like structures on the red planet, on Mars.
Right.
So with all these pyramids here on the Earth and some elsewhere outside our Earth, I think it's probably a safe bet to say that the ones that are outside our Earth probably predate the ones that are found here.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's the case, we have to consider that the authorship of those pyramids might be the same. And let's also consider this fact. When you look at the name Cairo, the way you say Cairo in Arabic is El-Kahira. But El-Kahira means Mars. Now, not a lot of people know that.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's... Now, there's nothing that proves what I'm saying here, but it does lend towards the idea that the authorship of the pyramid predates Egypt itself.
Mm-hmm. So,
especially when you consider that out of the 119 pyramids, the Great Pyramid is absolutely the most well-built.
Right. So do you feel that it's a unique structure, per se, because it will stand the test of time in comparison to other structures that have been built?
It could very well be. For instance, the Great Pyramid of Egypt is the only, well, this is what I've done for my research, and Ken Klein backs this up. Actually, he's the one that says it first, is that the Great Pyramid of Egypt is the only one of the 119 pyramids in Egypt that contains pi. And it's the only pyramid that has the same curvature underneath at the base of the pyramid that equals the curvature of the Earth. Now that's important, Joe, because if you build a flat structure at the size of the Great Pyramid on top of a curved surface like the Earth, it's eventually going to get cracks and wobbles and shakes, and the structure is going to fall apart over time. And the fact that the Great Pyramid has practically the longest longevity out of all the pyramids in Egypt, and also that it has the same curvature on the base of it to match the curvature of the Earth, well, just put two and two together. I mean, it's just a miraculous structure.
Right.
So I don't doubt that human hands built the pyramid, but I firmly believe that the logistics-wise, design-wise, they were inspired and possibly directed by somebody or something else.
Okay, so the location where these pyramids have been built across the world, do you feel that they're placed on what we may call landlines for a specific reason, for the healing properties of humanity, or for the stability of that structure to withstand the elements in time?
Yeah, and this is getting back to the multi-purpose function of the pyramid. Besides being us, I also think that as a structure itself, the location of the pyramid is pretty paramount. Like, for instance, apparently, where it's located in Cairo crosses the most amount of land if you run vertical and horizontal lines across the pyramid and going across the globe. Mm-hmm. So it crosses the most amount of land anywhere in the world, apparently.
Okay.
And Edgar Casey, the Casey readings state that the Great Pyramid was put there to help prevent another pole shift. So, and this also goes back to Scripture as well, because when you look at Bethlehem and Cairo, as the crow flies, Joe, they're only about 250 miles apart. Now, I'm not sure about you, but I'm sure that, well, for myself and a lot of people, I think that if the pyramid were only 250 miles away from where we live, there would be no obstacle on Earth that could keep us from going there to visit. Snow or ice or desert, or like, I'd be going there for sure. Right. And I think it's only natural to assume that people like Jesus might have gone to Egypt perhaps once, twice, even perhaps a couple of times throughout their lives, mm-hmm. possibly to be initiated into the mysteries of the pyramids.
Mm-hmm.
So in that sense, when you also look at the symbology of the pyramid and the vocabulary of the pyramid, specifically in terms of the capstone and some of the other elements that are associated with the pyramid, you find out that they're present throughout the Bible, especially in Revelations. And there's a section on my site at dreampyramid.net where I outline that. So it also symbolizes, and this is going to sound pretty wild, but I also think the pyramid symbolizes Christ in stone form. So when we're saying that we're supposed to become the pyramid, what I'm actually saying is that we're supposed to become like Christ. Mm-hmm. And I'm not a Christian myself, but the logic of it and just the rationale of it just lends me to that conclusion.
Right. Okay, so, there's a lot of different theories that I've heard over the past several years in regards to the pyramids and why they were built and by who. And, there are some new theories, I believe. Now, this is going back that I actually read this somewhere, but I don't know if this has anything to do with torsion fields or something like that. Have you heard anything about that?
We're getting into quantum physics?
Well, I believe that Russians have done some. They replicated the pyramid, the shape, at least, and they found that. And I don't know if this has anything to do with in combination, or if there's any direct relation with torsion fields, that type of research or not. But I know that there have been some studies done about the healing process with humans that would stay in a pyramid-shaped structure for a period of time. So I don't know if it was because of the location of the particular pyramid, if it's the shape of the particular pyramid. I mean, there's a lot of speculation, so I'm just putting it out there of somebody of your caliber that actually has, has done some research in this area.
Well, I've slept inside a pyramid that a person erected in his backyard, and I've also constructed pyramids made out of paper and wood and put them underneath my bed. So I've had quite a bit of experience in that domain. But the insight that I have to bring to that, Joe, is that anything that we use as a device or as technology is created by us, and therefore that technology, the essence of that technology, also resides within us. So therefore, that would mean that technology is simply an extension of our own selves, especially collectively speaking. I think that as we evolve, we're going to surpass all forms of our current technology.
Yeah, good point.
The element I want to bring to that is that, have you ever seen the movie Willow?
Oh, my gosh. Is that old?
A long time ago, eh?
Yeah. Boy,
let me just refresh your mind here. There's a part in that movie where the wizard says that he's going to take an apprentice for that year, and they have to pass a quiz. And one by one, all the candidates line up, and he asks them, he says, whoever picks the finger with the most power will become my apprentice for that year. And there's 5 candidates, and they all line up in front of him. And one of them is Willow. So the wizard holds out his hand, and he has 5 fingers on his hand, of course, and he asks, pick the one that has the most power. And one by one, they each pick a finger. And the wizard at the end says, well, sorry, it looks like this year I'm not taking your apprentice. Nobody chose the right finger. And they all, of course, they go back disappointed. But then later on, when the wizard and Willow are alone, Willow says to him, I didn't answer the way I wanted to answer it, because what I wanted to do was I wanted to point to my own finger, because my finger was the one pointing towards the 5. And the wizard said, well, that's the one you should have picked, because you have the power. It's something outside of you.
Right.
And I think that the pyramid represents that, Joe, because if the pyramid was built to represent us, that we could essentially say that it's a mirror and it reflects our abilities. Mm-hmm. And when you look at the symbology of the pyramid and how it's found in all those corporations and all those logos, and how it's found everywhere throughout the world in different forms, and the teachings probably vary according to those regions, but essentially the pyramid would reflect our own abilities, regardless of its size. And I think that's the genius of the structure. And I think that's also it shows the genius of the people or the entities that designed it. I think we're going to re-become the star people that we once were, Joe. I think we're gods with amnesia. And
I agree with
we're about to take that step. Yeah, that's what it is.
Okay. So, do you have a website that you'd like to give our listeners right now, or for more information about what you do and who you are and what you're about?
Well, it's dreamingthepyramid.net. And on that website, you'll find scores of pages of information relating to the pyramid, and I touch a lot of the different subjects. There's also a free ebook, and I encourage you to download it. I put 12 years of work into it, and I'm giving it away for free on the internet as a free download.
Awesome.
It's on the left-hand, it's on the left-hand side. Well, I tried for about 12 years to find a publisher for that book, and I'm going to self-publish at some point. But in the meanwhile, because I have a sense of urgency now in regards to the light work that a lot of people are doing, that I don't have time to diddle-daddle around anymore. I just got to get it out there. The information has to get out there. And there's also videos that are online. There's one video that's in 5 parts that people can watch. And I've also gone back into doing conferences and lectures. So my first conference